All right. Perfect. Now that we're recording, thank you all so much for being here. If you weren't able to make it in person, hope you can see us virtually on our YouTube page or on our PAU website. I'll go ahead and turn it over now to our panelists so that they can introduce themselves and tell us more about their PAU story. Thanks again for being here.
I can go first. This is Maggie Tsai, and I think my story has the year 2011 as the demarcation line. Before that, I was in China. I was a journalist, and then I was an information officer with the United Nations. And later, I started my own business in public relations and marketing communications. I worked for multinational companies. A lot of them are based here, like Google, Microsoft, and so I worked before 2009. And then after 2011, I moved to the States for my kids' education. And for 10 years, I was a full-time mom. And then just right before pandemic hit, I started to think about I'm in my second chapter of life. What do I want to do for like another 20, 30 years? And I probed into several areas, and I really found that counseling would be my passion. So I consulted some people I trust, and PAU came highly recommended. So without further hesitation, I just applied. So last year, I graduated from the Master of Counseling program. And immediately as I got the email that the school is starting this new counseling education and supervision program, I thought, right, that's for me. So without hesitation again, while I'm still doing internship, I just got my associate marriage and family therapist license. I am very excited to join this new program and to give myself a boost. So I'll just hand in to my other peers, and we can talk about more just going forward.
I can go next, Jackie, unless you want to. No? Okay, I can go next. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarita, and I am a alumni of PAU. Did my master's in counseling and graduated in 2020. And now I am a student again at PAU, pursuing my PhD in Counselor Education and Supervision. I got my license in March 27 to be exact. So I'm LMFT now, which has been really exciting. I went to school all through the COVID years, etc. Past, the classes were only on on Zoom actually during COVID. So it just made things a little bit unsettling for me, but I finished and now I have my license. I'm really grateful for that. Right now, I'm working at a private practice in the South Bay, and I work primarily with individuals, with couples and families. On a personal note, I have 2 children. I have a husband. I have a dog named Benny, who is a COVID baby. And my children have left. They're adults, so they're doing their own thing. And in my spare time, I enjoy oil painting, traveling, and listening to music. During the program, as we were going through our classes, you get to start your practicum in the last year of the program, which I did. And PAU really was supportive in placing the students in the program for practicum. And I had the opportunity to work at the City of Fremont Youth and Family Services. And this was my first time ever into the therapy world. And I was placed at an elementary school, and my first client was a 6th grader who was in crisis. So like, okay, go take care of him. And I did, stabilized him, and then he was taken to the hospital for a 5150. that was my first client. But what I got out of that was, coming out, I was like, oh my God, why haven't I been doing this all of my life? So really, it really did evoke this passion in me to go into therapy. From there, from City of Fremont, I moved into working at El Camino Hospital in their Aspire program, which worked with adolescents, 10, 11, 12-year-olds who were in crisis. They were either suicidal, they were self-harming, or some other kind of crisis. And I did case management. I did some therapy, group work, etc., with them. So that was really an eye-opening experience for me, because I didn't realize how acute things could be, and especially with some really young children, it just gave me a really different perspective of therapy. And that's all due to doing my master's at counseling and really making therapy my passion. And so I just want to share a little bit about how I got here, why therapy, why counseling. So when I graduated from college, I really never settled into a career. I was always really dissatisfied. I really didn't feel like there was any meaning in the careers that I was going into. And I just began to explore and landed on doing an MBA in international business, thinking, oh, I really want to work for a multinational corporation. And I did that. I was a product manager. I was successful, but then this gnawing feeling of dissatisfaction, lack of meaning, just didn't make me happy. But I did give it some time, and then I decided to do another master's. Really, it was just exploring. I did my Master of Science in Healthcare Administration, thinking I was going to get into doing patient advocacy at a hospital, but that was not the case. The jobs that I found were really behind a desk, just doing all that paperwork, etc. And I really wanted to be in the forefront, working with people, helping them, etc. And that job in the hospital didn't really allow me to do that. So I said, okay, I'm going to stop working. I just stopped working. I had 2 children. I raised them, etc. And once they left for college, I just had really terrible empty nest syndrome. Like I was in a deep, deep depression. And finally, taking a risk, because I'd never been in therapy before, I decided to go into therapy, and found an awesome clinician to work with. I quickly realized that she had actually trained with Virginia Satir and had done research with her. And she was so amazing. For those of you who don't know, Virginia Satir was a pioneer in family therapy. So I had the opportunity to hear about stories of research and what all went on at that time. So working with my therapist, it just sort of fueled my passion, knowing that, the difference that she was making for me in helping me heal through my journey of, my past traumas, etc. I really it just evoked this passion that I could do the same for other people and help them. And now finally, thinking of pursuing my 3rd master's degree, I was like, I really better be sure of what I'm getting myself into, because I'd done this twice before. I talked to LMFTs, I talked to social workers, psychologists, people, anyone that I could get in touch with who was in the field, and really got some good information and decided this was for me. And just like Maggie said, PAU came really highly recommended, and the cohort size, the support of the faculty, the ease of taking classes, the registration process, it had not been anything like I had experienced before. Having attended public universities, everything from registration to getting a hold of the professor was always such a huge challenge. So this was really very different from what I was used to. And it was an amazing experience. And I graduated. I'm out here actually doing what I love. And every day I'm so grateful that I did my master's and found my passion. So the pursuing of the PhD now, why did I want to do that? So when I was in my master's program, and I don't know if you've ever taken classes with Dr. Wasson, who teaches some classes, um, she told me that there was an upcoming PhD program in counselor education. I was like, what? I'm going to do this. So I waited and waited. I would bug Dr. Lamar about when was the program going to start. I would email her at least once every few months and patiently waited. And then finally, when I got word, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to move forward in applying. Grateful that I did get admitted. But what I hope to do with the PhD is to train future counselors. There's such a huge need of clinicians, that working in private practice. They're like wait lists of people wanting to be seen. So there's such a huge need. I want to, be part of that training for our future counselors. Maybe work in a community mental health agency like I started in the beginning with my practicum, doing supervision, making maybe difference at the state level, right? Policy development and counseling. I don't know. They're like far out goals, but hopefully I can be part of that. And just kind of helping to bring out culturally sensible, ethical counselors, because I do see a lot of unethical stuff happening in the field now that I've been working in it for a few years. So really want to implement all of those things. And I think I'm really, really looking forward to starting the program soon. So that's my story, and I'll just leave it at that and let Jackie go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarita. So my experience in some senses was similar to both of you. I also have a previous career before counseling. I have a master's in instructional technology, and then I stopped working to raise my kids for several years. But from the beginning, since I was in high school, I was interested in clinical work. So many, many years later, after a pause from like raising my kids, it was time to choose what I wanted to do. And I thought, I want a master's. I didn't even think counseling because I was completely clueless about the different careers. So I just knew I wanted clinical work. And when I started to look for programs, my goal was to find something either in person or partially in person, hybrid. So it had to be local. I'm in the Bay Area. So that was really a no-brainer. I'm like, okay, there's like a PAU and two more. And the more I was learning about the PAU program, the more I was interested in actually attending PAU for the master's. At some point between applying and being accepted and starting, I realized that I was not going to be able to do it in person because of my kids' schedules. And at that point, it was more about the reputation. I heard from other people about PAU, and I decided that if so many people had a positive experience or had some positive information about PAU, it was a good choice. So I decided to do the program online, which would have been the only option anyway, because the pandemic started and everybody was online anyway. So for me, at that point, I knew. So, okay, so going back to the beginning, even though I wanted to do clinical work, I have always been interested in research. And my background is in education, so also like the teaching part. So when I started the program, it was a hard choice actually to choose between counseling and a PhD in psychology, just because I knew I wanted a PhD at some point. And I think it was through the first quarter when I was taking, I think it was professional orientation or professional identity, I realized that this is the right career for me. And I knew I wanted to do a PhD at some point in counseling. And throughout the program, even though, there are disadvantages to being in an online program, which is, in part, I had friends all over the world, which was amazing, but not that many people close by. but on the other hand, I had professors from all over the country that were like the really good, the best professors that you could find, right? And it didn't matter if they were here or not. I had really good professors that were local, really good professors that were not local. And I think the experience I had at PAU as a student was outstanding. Like academically, I finished my master's feeling prepared for the work I had to do. That first day in my practicum, I felt ready. I was scared and I was feeling very insecure, but just realizing that I was actually prepared to do the work was a relief. And knowing that I had all the support I needed from the school, from supervisor outside of school, but also I had a supervisor who is a professor, so I felt supported. I didn't feel alone. And I mean, the master's academically, I think, is outstanding, but I think everybody gets what they want out of the program. Many people went to PAU just expecting to get an education and graduate and go do clinical work. And for me, it was for more than that. I was hoping and I was expecting a lot more than that. I was able to get involved in different organizations. I had the opportunity to do research during my master's, which is what I wanted to do. So I got the education and the training, and I was also able to start having interactions with professors that I really admire and that were very supportive. And I have mentors and I have all the guidance that I needed back then when I was a student and still now. So when it came to the PhD, like I graduated, my goal was to start the PhD right after graduating. I realized that it was probably a better choice to wait, and I was going to wait 1 year. And then I found out that the PhD was not going to open like when I was expecting, which was a year ago, or when I was hoping for. And I had already applied to other programs. And again, I wanted something in person. But when I saw the program, the PAU program, I decided that I did not want to do any other program. Like having the opportunity to teach from or co-teach classes from the very first quarter, and the classes we were going to take and who was going to teach the classes, I was like, that's the program I want, even if that means waiting another year. And I mean, in the end, it worked out because I was able to finish my hours for both licenses, LMFT and LPCC. I don't have either one because I still have to take the exams, but I finished all the hours for both. So I'm very excited about that. And I think it was worth the wait. Of course, I wish I could talk about the experiences with the first classes, but just thinking about the classes, just like Sarita, I get very excited. I think about the classes and it's like, I want to be there. I want to start learning. I want to start like co-teaching classes. I want to start research. So I think this program is going to be all that I am hoping for and more, just like the master's was. And I think that the flexibility of a PhD, which is very different than from a master's, that where everybody's doing pretty much the same, like just being able to choose what you're going to be researching and all that. And the support of the professors that are close by and also the ones that are not close by is going to be amazing. So I'm really looking forward to the program, and I'm very excited about like being here and talking about my experience with all of you, but also about being about to start in a few months.
As Jackie and Sarita are talking, I really share a lot of the same emotions. I came to PAU just knowing that, oh, they have a very good internship programs that is very easy to find placements. And the PAU students are really welcomed in the industry. And knowing that we are specializing in psychology and clinical psychology. But I think I learned more about the benefits of PAU as I was going through the master's program. I could feel from my own experience that the leadership is really committed to student success. And I also enjoyed working with all of my professors who I think because the leadership selection and also their commitment, the professors are really knowledgeable, they are well versed in the industry, and most of them really teach from love. And I had such good experience learning at PAU. And the question about why now coming back to PAU again, PhD program, for me, I'm in the second chapter of my life. And for me, I'm thinking I don't have that much time. Although right now I'm working at a private practice called Saratoga Therapy, and also part-time in COPLI, which is in ADHD through a focus system program providing treatment. I feel like I can work on one-on-one, but I really want to multiple my time. And I was thinking if I can do more work in advocacy, in education, workshops, sharing, and also in maybe teaching some courses, it would be really a good use of my time, building on my previous experience. And I was listening to Jackie, and I feel like all of us have this commitment to like being the catalyst for the industry. For me, I come from a Chinese background. So right now in my daily counseling, I feel like very few Chinese are coming to counseling at this moment. I really want them to have the benefits of mental health counseling. So maybe through this program, I'll be able to promote mental health counseling better in the Chinese American community.
Thank you so much for sharing, everyone. I'll jump in. My name is Krista. I work at the CES program manager, and we're very excited to have our first cohort beginning in the fall. And our current cohort size, I think, is about 9, and 7 of those 9 are alumni of PAU. So that says a lot. And I love hearing the stories that you're sharing, Jackie, Sarita, and Maggie, about how your life trajectory has taken twists and turns, and it's arrived perfectly here to return to PAU. So thanks for being here. I will put my email in the chat if anyone has questions about the program or the curriculum or about applying. I'm happy to hop on the phone with you all or email with you. And I can also share our schedule and academic plannings. And then if anyone has questions, I'm happy to respond. But thank you for being here.
Thank you all again so much for being here. I want to especially thank our panelists for taking time out of their day to share their stories with us. Now I'm going to go ahead and move it to our question and answer / panel section. If any of our guests that are here today want to ask questions to any of our panelists or to Krista, feel free to go ahead and either unmute yourself or you can put your question in the chat and I'll read that out loud.
Hi, this is Jean. I do have a question, if I may ask.
Go for it, Jean.
Hi. So I'm also an alum from PAU. I graduated in 2019 with the Master of Counseling. And I'm really excited that this program is coming out. And my question is to the panel, student panel, is that I'm looking into the fall and also juggling with a PhD program, and I know it's hybrid, right? It's online and also in person. What are the hours like for those of you who are in the in the program? Is it 8 to 5? What does that look like, as we all have other jobs as well and family to juggle?
I've just put in the chat a link to our schedule. And so our program's designed that it would only take 1 to 2 days of classes to participate in the program so that people could still work professionally. So I put our schedule in there, but I'm happy to let our panel speak to about anything that they've encountered preparing for fall term.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, so for me, the biggest issue is I have 3 kids, and one will be in college by default, but I have 2 kids in 2 different schools. So just figuring out that schedule plus my work schedule, it was important. And I also wanted, because I didn't have that experience for the master's, I did want an in-person portion. So I think the schedule is there. Thank you, Krista. But the first quarter, it's just everything in one day. So there's like an online class in the morning, and then there's an in-person class from 1 to 4. And then we're going to be co-teaching class. I think it has to be Thursday night, but I think it's possible that will be flexible, depending if it's an online or in person. So I think it's very manageable. I think for the second quarter or third quarter, it's 2 days instead of just 1 day. But I don't think I would be able to maintain a 40-hour-a-week job, but I don't think I could manage seeing 40 clients in a week anyway. So I think for me, like having 20 clients and doing the PhD and dealing with my kids' schedule seems reasonable. I will probably have to do like assignments on weekends, stuff like that. But to me, that seems like a reasonable schedule. I don't know about everybody else.
Yeah, I think for me personally, having that in-person class was really important because of the whole COVID situation. I kind of missed out on that experience. So I'm excited to have that in person, but I also appreciate the flexibility of having online classes. So, you get to experience both. And really having the opportunity to be in the labs at the university to do the work. I think that's going to be really amazing. And that was part of the reason why I chose PAU. I'm going to be maintaining my client load. I have about 20 clients at the moment, and I'm going to continue to do that. Being in private practice, I think, allows me the flexibility to increase, decrease as needed. So I am going to pursue both the PhD and my work at the same time. So I don't know. I hope that answers your question, Jean.
Yes, thank you.
And for me, I checked the calendar. Our first semester would be Thursday, full day. So actually, I have been blocking my Thursday to be my free day so that it can fit in once September starts. Of course, sometimes the clients they want to reschedule. I use some of the time, but I think that's easier when it's focused on in one day. And also, I think even when we were doing our masters, life was hectic, right? We have a lot of balls to juggle. But looking back on my first part of life when I was in my own career, I was like only sleeping like 5-6 hours average per day. Although I think like I might not be as strong as I was 20 years ago, I still feel like I'm energetic and I'll be able to better manage my time with like a lot of thoughts, conscientiously put into how to use best part of my life, and then how to balance work, family, my own hobbies and interests, and friends. Yeah, so that's my input.
Just to quickly add to what Maggie said, I think the advantage of having the schedule for the whole year in advance is that we can plan ahead and make sure that our like work schedule matches whatever we need for like study classes and all that.
Thank you.
My question is, hi, I'm Priscilla, and my question is more geared towards the supports for graduate students at PAU, just because I know that a lot of the support services and services on campuses can feel like it's geared for undergraduate students. At least that's how it felt for me when I was a grad student. Can you tell me about your experience with working with the financial aid office, working with additional services on campus, how that felt as a graduate student?
I really felt supported by the staff and the faculty. You know, if I had questions, I would be pointed in the right direction. In terms of support by the administration, I think there is a separate graduate admissions office and staff who support, you know, the master's student. That was my experience. So I never felt like, you know, I was left hanging about registration or about financial aid or, you know, the class schedule. Everything was sort of really structured. And because you had the planned schedule, I think Jackie mentioned that having a schedule just really set everything in motion. You could plan around it. And if you couldn't, the professors were really supportive in helping you through that. If you had something come up, for example, you know, a wedding that you had to attend and then you had to miss classes, they would be really, really supportive in helping you through that. And the administration has been really supportive as I went forward in terms of, you know, have I completed all my requirements? Have all the for graduation, I mean, has all that been met? So I really did feel supported in the program.
I mean, Sarita answered in like, with respect of administration and all like maybe the academic portion. I have been, even though I graduated 2 years ago, I have been involved in organizations at the school because the undergrad is small at PAU. There's actually a lot of support for graduate students just because the majority of the students are graduate students. I have been in Pulso for the last 2 years, which is the Latin American organization. I know I got their name wrong, but it's the Association for Latin American Students. And I think it has been a challenge to make sure that the events that they organize meet the needs of PhD students, well, psychology students and counseling students, because the schedules are completely different. So I'm actually excited about the PhD in counseling because I think it will be the bridge to be able to make sure that everybody is considered in these events. And I think that's something that many of us have been trying to do, just to make sure that while there are events at school, because psychology students are on campus on certain days, we will be on campus too, and we can make that happen. I mean, for us for sure, but also for master students, for students in the masters in counseling. So I never felt excluded from activities for students and support for students. And I'm actually, I think just being in person this time will actually help me at least be more involved and feel more supported. I mean, I guess I'm kind of wondering about what you mean by support, because I can think about like the administration part of making sure you enroll in classes when you have to and you graduate when you have to and all that, which I think there's really good communication like through email, and most of the professors, they don't have an open door policy because, you know, they are online, but they are always welcoming and you can meet and talk to them, and you have an advisor that will answer your questions. So I don't know if this doesn't answer your question, maybe you can explain a little more about what you mean about the support, and maybe I can answer a little better.
You're answering it just fine. I just want to know how welcome graduate students feel, and if the services that are provided on campus. I think mostly my concern is financial aid. It's like someone who will be able to be dedicated for graduate students, that there's people there on campus, because unfortunately sometimes it feels like, oh, this is for undergraduate students, you know, you're getting these support services, or, you know, oh, this is only for graduate and you can only go to your department and not necessarily around campus. That was my question, but you're answering it just fine. Thank you.
I'd love to respond to that, Priscilla. Thank you for asking this question. And I hear how, yeah, your experience before as a graduate student, you didn't feel maybe centered in that. I think Palo Alto University is unique in that we mostly have graduate programs. I think we have 1 or 2 undergraduate, but we have 6 graduates. So the majority of our students are graduate students. So our student success team, of course, wants to support all students, but they are most familiar with graduate students because we have, across all the programs, I think we have about 300, at least 300 students, graduate students. So they're here for you. I know the Director of Financial Aid is Amy Sykes, and we have other people who are here to support you. And if you ever hit any roadblocks, you're also welcome to reach out to me. And as the program manager, I'm here to support you as well in that, and tap on the shoulders of anyone else who might be able to support you in your experience.
And just to add to what Krista said about financial aid, I recall getting an email of the breakdown of costs and how much money that I would need to either borrow or the scholarships, whatever. They combined everything and really made a thorough a sheet to say, okay, this is going to be what you need to pay. This is what you need to borrow, etc. So I think there's a person totally dedicated to doing that. And I don't recall his name, but I know that there's someone there doing that.
I don't have a say on financial aid, but when Sarita said PAU is structured, that word really clicks with me. I feel like in every aspect, like when people were asking about the schedule, Krista's immediately putting up the link and putting it in there because everything is well written out in there. And when you ask about financial aid, they can immediately pull up something and direct you to the right person. And my encounter with my professors or faculty and staff, usually because I did an online program, if you email them, they will reply to you really quickly. I don't think I've ever had to wait more than 3 days. Usually it's within the day, they will get something back to you. And for common questions, they have workshops, they have training to bring you up to date about things. And like we have library services, we have e-clinic to provide students with internship opportunities just on campus. And the last thing I want to say is that I benefited a lot from our peer resources because most of the peers, they have very rich career background, personal experience, and I feel most of the peers are very friendly. We are out to help each other. So if you have a question, you don't have an immediate answer, we had a Slack group. So we really took care of each other. So that too, when you become a cohort, you can actually leverage resources among themselves. So I'm not sure if that added something.
Yeah, about the financial aid office, I have to say, I mean, this is some personal information, but I actually got into a complicated situation when I was during my master's that I needed somebody to talk to regarding the options I had at that point, and it was in the middle of the year, and I reached out to the office and I got a response right away, and I was able to meet for an hour to discuss options, and so I felt supported in that way. The options for students in undergrad and graduate education are different regarding scholarships and all that, but I felt like I received the answers I needed and the support I needed when I needed it. So yeah, it was a very specific situation, but I felt supported and they were definitely responsive.
Hello. Hi. I had a question and thinking about it more now. So this is my general question is, have you had peers that did not have clinical/private counseling experiences? And if so, how do they navigate the program? And if I recall correctly, I believe Jackie had mentioned that their master's was not in counseling, if that is correct.
So no, my master's was in counseling. I did the master's at PU. I originally I knew I wanted to do clinical work and I had no idea what I was getting into. And it was during the first quarter that I really, we had this professional orientation class and I understood about MFTs and counselors and social workers and psychologists and understood pretty well what the difference was, and it helped me form my own identity. And I definitely I took on that identity as a counselor. So my master was in counseling, but yeah, sorry about that. That was
No, thank you.
Yeah, but I'll let Krista answer that question. I think she
Sure.
will probably answer better.
And if I have if I have like an extension question to that, just for some background, I'd be applying, graduating from a counseling program in school counseling. So, I suppose, I guess my question is, like, what challenges do you think that perhaps someone like me in my position would face in the program?
Well, I'm glad that you're interested in our program, Ruben. I think having a school counseling background is definitely compatible with the program, having spoken at length with Dr. Margaret Lamar, who's the program director. But just to make sure that you are at the same place as your peers and see like, oh, is there anything missing? She would go over your transcripts as well as perhaps some of our other committee members and see like, have you met the requirements needed? And if not, then we could recommend taking some additional courses if needed. But if you do meet that threshold, then it would just be about clarifying where do you want to go with this degree and how can we help tailor a program to suit your needs and your career. You do not have to be licensed to be in our program, as you've heard from some of our wonderful students here, but you do have to have a counseling background, which it sounds like you meet.
Yeah, I will be graduating from a K-Prep accredited program, Portland State University, under Dr. Yi-Wen Su. I'm just putting it out there since she used to teach at Palo Alto. So yeah, and that's how I heard about this program. Yeah, thank you.
We probably have enough time for one more question. Oh, Priscilla just asked a question in the chat. Do any panelists or upcoming cohort members travel further than 2 hours?
We do have someone who's based in LA who's going to fly in weekly, but they do have like a Bay Area contact member. So basically they're going to stay with family one night a week, but they plan to fly in and out weekly for the amount. But I think everyone else is probably within about a 3-hour driving radius.
I think I'm within 1 hour, so I'm lucky.
Yeah, I think for me in non-traffic, I can probably get to the Mountain View campus in about half an hour. So I'm not too far.
Yeah, I'm also close by, and I think as long as it's just like once a week, if I had to like drive longer, I would be okay. So I think it's an advantage, at least for the first year, there won't be any classes in person more than once a week.
Thank you all. I just saw her chat here saying that Priscilla would be driving from Sacramento, or Ruben said I would likely be driving from Sacramento. Yeah, I think that would totally be doable, especially once a week, but I had to make that trip a good amount of times myself, so. All right, we probably have enough time for one more, so let's do one last question if there's any other questions before we go. And feel free to pop it in the chat or unmute your microphone also.
Good afternoon. I don't have a question really. It's more about like the experience for today's sessions and the panel that the Palo Alto University provided. It was very inspiring. So I just want to say thank you so much, Maggie, Sarita, and Jackie, for very touching stories. And throughout your stories, I was kind of like, oh, I had this question it's been answered. So I do appreciate so much for the time invest today and for all what you do. And it was very inspiring. So thank you so much.
I personally really wish that you can join us, all of you here online. It will be an amazing experience.
Thank you all again so much, and thank you to all our panelists for taking time out of your day to share your stories. Really, really appreciate that. I'll be sending the recording out as soon as we have it up to everybody who was here and who registered for the event that missed it. But feel free to reach out to us if you have any other questions. Thanks again and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.